You're watching the Chaos Protocol on Transplanar RPG, an all-transgender, people of color-led dark fantasy TTRPG show set in an original non-colonial, anti-Orientalist multiverse. If you like what you see, please consider pledging to our Patreon to support the show and get access to a patron-only after-show, early podcast episodes, GM notes, character sheets, and even the chance for your tabletop OC to cameo in our series. Thank you so much for watching, and enjoy. The Chaos Protocol is a dark fantasy series that may contain content that is triggering for some viewers. Content warnings for this episode include death of loved ones, grief, complex relationships, romance, apocalypse, environmental collapse, climate change, mass extinction, fantasy violence, and references to the death of children. Arc 4, Episode 21. Time Rots the Tongue. From Waiting for the Moon to Burn by Connie Chang. There are 3 graves. The first grave is tall and broad, driven deep into the earth like a steady bulwark. The second grave is measured and calm, a healing hand gone still forevermore. The third grave is plain and unadorned, a story left buried in the dusty past. The fourth grave is empty. It is a final resting place not yet claimed by the lone survivor of Strike Team Sunrise. It is a promise carved into being by the broken edge of grief. It is an oath that Zinnia will take with her into a future that does not yet exist. The fourth grave is full. It is a final resting place claimed by the chosen one of Strike Team Nova. It is the end of an unendable law, a tragedy, a rehearsal, a play. The latest iteration of an infinite attempt to escape the cruelest paradox that has ever existed. It is a statue in a hall that you can never return to again. Strike Team Nova. Zinnia. As you rest your eyes upon each other, the realization of who the other is settles deep within your bones like a broken ship coming home to roost at the bottom of the coldest ocean. She is the sole survivor of Sunrise. They are agents of the Syndicate. And there are 4 graves between you. Which one of you speaks first? And how do you acknowledge this impossible connection?
Lumièra does. She's the one that stepped in it. The only thing that she can do at this point is what she knows best. She can tell the Syndicate is a wound for Zinnia. Old, but still painful, still there if you press it too hard, and Lumièra pressed too hard. But the Syndicate is still open for her. That wound still bleeds. It's still tender. So she does what she always does. Slips on the mask and heals. Listen, I didn't mean to touch a sore spot. I'm sorry. I don't want any trouble.
There's a look already given to you. One that sort of screams, you don't want trouble yet, you are here in front of me, bringing this to my door, with my team. And I think it takes her a second to finally speak. It was always going to be trouble with you. All of y'all.
She looks genuinely confused.
Why is there a syndicate here? Why is the syndicate here?
Lumièra looks back both to Xainan and Seir. Wordless conversation amongst her eyes. They tell you everything. She thinks we're from there.
Seir looks to Lumièra, acknowledging this realization that we're having as a collective. And even Seir hesitates to step fully into it. Before, just like everything else, Seir leans down and just says, I think we've gone off on the wrong foot here. We are not quite in the way that you think, I think. We're here, but not for syndicate business. And he looks towards the oldest member of our group, the one who had chastised him not a few moments before. Is this good enough, Zai?
Xainan is staring at Zinnia, watching the answer that doesn't answer the question fall into place. His eyes look them over, looking over the shape of them, seeing 3 graves. But also seeing this ambiguous shape that has lived in his mind, in the back of his mind, haunting a ghost. Cosmic balance before his very eyes. And he forgets for a moment that Ozili's raid is within eyeshot. Because for the first time, maybe since the first time he died, he feels kinship with someone. Zinnia is the only person in the entire journey to live both on Kesiki and at Trans that he is aware of, and the fondness cannot stay off of his face as he steps forward, taking the blow a little bit from Seir, feeling those teeth again from Seir. But he sees the invitation from Lumièra. We didn't exactly come by the normal way, but I am from here, and it is a pleasure to meet you, Zinnia.
It's been over a decade. You realize it's been over a decade, right?
Yeah.
Nobody? Not one person sent to help? You chose to come here, but Artemis never asked.
I didn't know.
Artemis?
Yeah.
What
boss too.
What about Artemis?
Artemis was my boss too.
Lumièra looks strangely like a deer caught in headlights. Her eyes wide as saucers, her body posture stiff, rigid at the mentioning of Artemis's name. Listen, I'm so sorry. This is never easy. But we're here for different reasons. Have nothing to do with the syndicate. And I'm sorry that she let you down. The weight of
Sair's eyes
she-
are old.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say the weight of she sits. That was all.
Seir can't stop staring at you, Zinnia. And there are layers to the stare. He looks at you like it's the first time he has seen Hin in so long. He looks at you and he remembers these moments where he only thought about the possibility of being you, and he shattered completely. You are here, and you are strong, and you are here in front of him, a vision, a paragon, and he can't help but want to be better, maybe like you. But the moment you utter the name Artemis, this grown bulwark in front of you shrinks a little bit to that of a boy. Hearing that name again. Why is Artemis tied here too? And there are mountains of questions far more than the trees and the training grounds of the Wild Hunt. The ride, the presence, the all-encompassing weight of Artemis on everything Nova touches. And in this moment, Seir looks to you, boyishness, what's left of the boyishness in his eyes, and he says, "We didn't know. We didn't know about Artemis and this place. We found the radio tower, and that was all we knew of Sunrise." And to
Zinnia.
reiterate what Lumièra said, sorry.
Zinnia, when Seir says the radio tower, what is that brief emotion that flashes across your face that escapes from your resilience?
It is like being shot. It is quick and full of pain, and it rips right through them. And they physically wince at hearing the radio tower before their eyes resume, and I think they look at each one of them for sort of settling on Xainan.
Xainan, whose eyes never leave Zinnia. And he listens to the words that Nova says, but he doesn't resonate with the apology that they speak aloud. There is knowledge behind those sharp eyes, understanding. When he does not questioningly ask, he simply says that you chose. Didn't you?
Yes. How did you join?
So it is you I have to thank.
I don't think Zinnia says anything in that moment. Just takes a heavy swallow, almost as if sort of realizing that you are, in fact, Zinnia's replacement. And I think after accepting that little fact, looks at each member of Nova and realizes that you are maybe the greatest what if in the world, in the multiverse, to her. And I don't think she softens. I think, in fact, her face hardens a little bit at that realization. But those eyes don't leave you, Xainan.
In an impossible moment, Artemis took me with them.
You're lucky then.
And Xainan sees the specter, not of the stern face of the patron saint of mortals that everyone else knows, but a helm glistening in the moonlight. Blood on their feet and arrows. And 3 graves. And it passes over his eyes because Xainan cannot look away from Zinnia and nothing is hidden. He believes everything he says.
Lumièra and Seir, how do the two of you reel from this revelation, this information, this profane confession of a connection between the patron saint Xainan Esch and the sole survivor of Strike Team Sunrise?
Lumièra watches back and forth between this entire exchange like a tennis match.
Mm-hmm.
Back and forth between the two of them, processing as she continuously does before her eyes click in realization. 10 years. 10. And then against everything in her body, she scoffs a bit under her breath. Why? Because every day is something new of Xainan's past. Another piece of the puzzle he kept to himself that probably would have been, I don't know, important information to share, perhaps? But she swallows that. That's not a topic for company. So she swallows and said,
as soon as you make that sound, Seir's eyes meets yours. Another day, another aspect of Xainan's past. All of us have to hear from someone else's mouth.
Somebody fucking else. Okay.
Someone else. And Seir does not kid himself. They know that Xainan is folds and folds of secrecy stacked upon each other. Upon a dead man's walking corpse. He understands that, right? But it's the this growing, gnawing feeling, like an ache deep in your stomach, when you are presented with one version or one set of willingness, and you are constantly presented with another. And Seir meets your eyes, Lumièra, with that same feeling, but he bites back on the scoff only so that he could listen, hoping that maybe at the end of those sentences shared between Xainan and Zinnia, there would be an explanation.
But
But
there
there
never
is none.
is.
There never is.
Zinnia. There are 4 members of Strike Team Nova standing in front of you. This is not the surprising thing. There have always been 4 members of each strike team. It appears things have not changed since you have left the Syndicate. And now, with each passing moment, it becomes more and more evident that these members of the Syndicate are not here for you, strictly speaking. And as these 3 agents, this Xainan Esch, this Lumièra, this Seir, exchange meaningful and familiar looks with each other of pain, of understanding, of frustration, of upsetness, you notice the 4th member looking, well, as though she's outside of it all. Yinghe stands a half a foot away from everyone else, their fingers interwoven with each other, moonlit eyes darting from each speaker as words are exchanged and bristled feelings pass through this stolid air. And you see confusion warp clean and clear across his face as references to the Syndicate are made, as Artemis's name is revealed. She doesn't look like she doesn't recognize Artemis's name, but whatever deeper relation Lumièra, Xainan, and Seir all have, like old wounds being triggered when the patron saint's title, epithet is dropped here, does not come from Yinghe. They just look, well, like an outsider. And this entire time, they have not spoken.
I think Zinnia, in noticing that, sees that there is something, I think almost afraid that there is something being left on the table that they are maybe hiding. In that guarded way, looks over at Yinghe and sort of casually, flippantly, and very curiously, what's your story?
Oh, I joined Nova, kind of, a little while ago. I'm not from here, I'm not from Kaseki. I'm not really from the Syndicate, either. I'm from a world called Zhiguang. That's how I met the 4 of them. Sorry, 3 of them now.
4?
Yes, there was a 4th.
I think my eyes sort of look at the other 3, and I'm curious at the mention of the 4th. Is there a shared expression of pain?
Lumièra looks like someone's came behind her, and right before she was able to take a breath, shoved a dagger directly between her ribcage. Doesn't make eye contact, looks directly at the ground and keeps her gaze there.
Xainan did clear his throat, and for the first time looks down away from Zinnia for a moment, in that way that you kind of hide being winded from getting punched in the chest.
Seir looks like he's been shot. His eyes cloud over as if he had died a second time.
As for Yinghe, they look regretful instantly to have mentioned this slip of the tongue. And they also look... there is almost a look of yearning on their face, a desire to share in this pain that they simply cannot.
I think for the first time, Zinnia's eyes actually soften. There is something humanizing in grief that all of this, I think, buried feelings, like long dormant feelings, being forced to sort of burst forth. Grief is familiar, and grief is something they can understand and resonate with. And I think they look at the four of Nova. Sorry for your losses.
Sorry for yours.
She shakes her head as if pushing that away. She doesn't need to hear that.
And Seir also matches that look of pushing your apology away. He does not want to hear that from you either.
So
Xainan.
So, what now?
Xainan stands surrounded by graves. Sunrises, sings brought here by speaking it aloud. Keseki. His family's graves not far from here in Haruna Valley. And it brings him back. Because ghosts and graves go hand in hand. And here, he stands among people who have actually come to pay respect to the graves on Keseki. And he looks back to Zinnia. You and the tears, huh?
Yeah. They're the group I've been with for a while. Known Azel about 5 years.
There's jealousy in that exhale. He tries to hide it, but he is like a raw nerve looking at you, Zinnia. Well, where are you all headed?
Probably trying to get that ship. You mentioned a garden, right?
Yes, Stovall talked briefly but passionately about the commune, the community that Samishi had put together.
Do y'all know anything else?
No.
We genuinely shared everything we knew with you. Genuine.
I look at Xainan. Anything about a garden? Oh.
He is thumbing through pages and pages of a book that he thought he knew that was shaken up, and he's been trying to shuffle it all back together and put the pages in order, but they haven't made sense since the tower, since seeing the graves of your strike team, Zinnia. Yeah, I've been gone for 10 years. You know what I know.
We'll figure something out then. We always have. So, did y'all just come here for Azel?
And Xainan tries to say no, but his eyes, they betray it all. You see a light that will not quit. A glistening, galvanized star of hope in a man that seems entirely subsumed by grief. Yeah, we did.
I don't think Zinnia says anything at that, but I think that anger returns in that acknowledgement of what this has all been for. Coming back to your home, not for the planet, not for anyone more than one person, while understandable, is, I would call it childish. And I think their eyes convey a level of fury and disdain at how childish returning to Kaseki is for you.
I think annoyingly, even though you strike true, not everything hits a ghost. Not one that is actively haunting their own life, their own story. And he has the eyes of a true believer. Like he may as well be saying, trust in her will. Unthinking. Barely hearing what the words actually mean. Had to see. Didn't think I'd ever be back.
Didn't think I'd ever be back. Does not hit well for Zinnia. It doesn't. It is one more cruel reminder that they have been a footnote in the history of the Syndicate. And like their personal tragedy sits here as nothing. And all of that anger keeps focusing on you, Xainan, because you won't shut the fuck up. And I think they almost consider walking away at this point. What's the rest of y'all's plan here?
Seir will look at Lumièra this entire sequence with a great level of discomfort over why they are here. And there is a moment where Seir looks towards like Lumièra and then to Yinghe, then to Zinnia, and then as soon as your question falls on a silence a little too long and too uncomfortable, Seir shrinks a little bit, looking at Xainan. That's the question he's been asking. What next? We're here now. I watched this man get dressed down by the partner we were supposedly supposed to save. What now? And he's looking at you, hoping for an answer. Boyish hope in his eyes that you have a plan.
Oh, now you have hope again in his choices. And he wants to see this one. But he looks away from you, Seir.
Not the first time.
He looks to Lumièra.
I'm sorry, Sam is actually stuck. Give me a second. Whew.
Oh my god.
Okay.
I have an addition to that. When have you looked at me, Xainan?
I want to go home. Oh, Jesus. Hold on. Lumièra is uncharacteristically quiet. Sing's name has been brought up. Now her grave is overlaid with the 3 that she saw at the tower. She is silent. She is small. She doesn't meet any of your gazes.
And as usual, Yinka is an afterthought for Xainan. And he turns to face her, hoping maybe she has anything more to say.
Yinhe looks at you as it becomes evident you're expecting some sort of, hoping for some kind of input, direction, structure. And Yinghe's mouth opens slightly, parts, and then closes. And the next time it opens, he says, I don't know. I don't know anything, really.
Zinnia
I'm here.
I think taking in this collective almost confusion and silence, Zinnia speaks. So, y'all don't really have much of a plan, huh?
We had one. Xainan swallows that heavy poison that he just drank, searching for answers from people that he realizes again and again and again that he hasn't given them enough information to even make a choice. What are they supposed to do? Because he doesn't know what to do, and he gave them, he thought, everything that he could. And now he just needs to try again. I guess we're headed in the same direction. It's our fault that that ship got lost, right?
She is kind enough in this moment to not directly levy it 100% at you. Yeah. We need the ship. I assume y'all don't have a way off planet, so...
No, that kind of got wrecked on the way down.
Can y'all fight?
Yeah. Yeah, we can.
Y'all know how to survive.
We come this far, haven't we?
Seir nods at you like a syndicate recruit. There's an energy and a firmness in your voice that he finds comforting and familiar.
Okay. If y'all don't slow us down, I can probably vouch for y'all enough to help us get the ship back and get off planet, and then I guess you're off to do whatever mission y'all have next. Sound good?
Yes.
Figure it out as we go.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for letting us travel with you. What the Tears are doing, it's very admirable.
Zinnia nods, not fully accepting the honor that comes with being a member of the Tears of Fuyumi. They are ostensibly a member, but they don't necessarily feel like it if you were to ask them directly. They are someone on retainer almost is the best way to describe their feelings half the time. Or at least where they think they feel.
But Yinghe looks at you with genuine admiration, as though you're not just a retainer of the tears, but a key enmeshed part of them. The respect is not just for the larger group you're traveling with, it is directed specifically at you, Zinnia. The respect of this other outsider, this fellow outsider.
I think she looks at everybody again and almost gives them the closest to reassurance she can offer, which is that with the tears, you will survive, you will eat, you will have people watching your backs. So, I just need to talk to everyone and then talk to Azel, and I think it'll be okay. Just stick with the tears. We know what we're doing.
Great. That sounds like a plan.
Yes, ma'am, and thank you.
She nods at that, almost uncomfortable in the deference given to her. But it feels like you need that more than she does in this moment.
Zinnia, with that, you step away from Strike Team Nova to find the rest of your team to do as you had promised, as you had said you would, vouch for these strangers. As you part ways with this echo of the Syndicate, with this cruel reminder of the life you had left behind, who do you search for first and foremost?
I think in this moment, knowing the conversation needs to be had with Azel, and knowing a conversation needs to be had with the tears, Zinnia goes with the easier option first. The tears. Namely, Begun and Libra. I think feel right for her to talk to in this moment.
You approach Begun and Libra, the two of whom have put finishing touches on rolling rocks over that blown-in entrance that Nose Mama had busted open with her horn. As you get closer, you notice that the two of them had been talking about something. You hear glimpses of words northward, a plan, a route, and then they trail off as you get closer. Begun turns to face you with that bright, warm smile that you are so accustomed to. And Libra looks even more guarded and bristly than usual, which is saying something. Zinnia! So, how's everything with those folks?
They're lost, I think is the best way to describe them.
Well, that's evident to anyone who, well, knows anything. But they're good? We can trust them for now?
Yeah, trust them for now. 3 of them seem pretty green, at least when it comes to Kaseki. And I think I gesture to everyone but Xainan just in the distance. If we could keep an eye on them, make sure keep an eye on them and make sure they get any help they might need, I think would be a good idea.
Begun nods understandingly, picking up on exactly what you're implying here, and says, yeah, I'll make sure the rest of the tiers are aware of that.
Thank you. What's Libra's face during all of this?
Libra's eyes are sharp and burning. They're fixed on you, and they've got that twist in their mouth that happens when you know they want to say something, but they're holding it back for now. but they're not a hard nut to crack, especially under your administrations.
Libra, you got something to say?
No, just, I mean, the five of you look, awfully familiar with each other. This is all I noticed. You know, kind of hard to miss, actually. You know, if I didn't know any better, it's almost like you knew each other.
They shake their head. Similar stories.
Right.
Came here for the wrong reasons. Ended up a little stuck.
Right. Just, that's all, I'm sure. Nothing else that you are maybe not sharing with Baegoon, you know, because I know it's important for Baegoon to know everything that's going on with everyone, you know, as our cook and whatnot.
There's a look. In the look in the eye that says, do you really want to do this? Because I can tell you want to say something.
Baegoon rests a hand on Libra's shoulder. The smile is still there, is still warm, and is still real. But there's also a carefulness in his eyes as he addresses Libra. Libra, why don't you help me finish up here? Zinnia will make sure the rest of the tiers know that these strangers, these folk, will be traveling with us, and to keep an eye out for them.
Yeah. I know one of them can heal people up pretty well, especially after Jack. Maybe talk to her. She might be able to help anyone who might be hurt.
Right. The little lady with the wicked hand over my nose. Yeah, she definitely knows what she's doing.
Just, y'all know what to do. I gotta go talk to Azel.
Right. Good luck with that.
That simple head nod.
Libra opens their mouth briefly and then shuts it as you turn toward Azel, and you know that whatever's happening with Libra is not resolved. But Baegoon diffuses it for now. You are able to find Azel on the edge of camp, as usual. They are sitting on what used to be a crate, now turned over. They're kind of hunched over their shotgun and are oiling it.
I think Zinnia stands for now. I think finding a spot directly in Azel's eye line, knowing that this conversation can't be avoided this way. I don't think this is the first time they've had a conversation like this, but it's never fun for anyone involved. Azel. Xainan.
The hand with the gun polish and the rag does not still, but you see the knuckles whiten briefly as they continue to clean their weapon.
Shot him, right?
Obviously.
Can I ask why?
He was in my way. I warned him. Twice.
Okay, let me ask a bit more then. What is Xainan? What are you to Xainan?
I don't know. Frankly, I don't care.
I think in this moment, Zinnia doesn't soften. I think actually gets more tense in this conversation in a way that Azel won't budge, despite knowing that, at least from her perspective, Xainan clearly seems infatuated with Ozzel. So, just one move, and despite whatever you may have with Xainan, shot him like nothing.
Finally, the hand stills. They don't look up at you when they speak, and the words that come out are cold and honest. I don't know that man. The man I shot. That is not the Xainan Esch I knew. So why should I care about someone I don't know?
I think there is that exact phrase, why should I care about someone I don't know, stings in a way. Everybody here who is a tier was somebody Ozzel used to know at some point, and I think it almost feels counterintuitive to everything that they try to do here. So, Xainan, I think they struggle to find words for a second. I think Xainan could be useful to have here. The rest of the team they have too. I'm gonna keep them along. They won't slow us down. They know how to fight. They know how to survive.
They go back to cleaning their gun. Fine. As long as they don't get in our way.
Can you avoid killing them a second time?
As long as they don't get in our way.
They won't. They're gonna be just fine. And this conversation feels resolved in the worst way possible because there's so many questions left in Zinnia's heart to ask Ozzel right now, but I don't think there is a way for them to actually form the right words that are needed. All right. Good talk. I'll let you know the full plan when it's ready.
As you start to turn and walk away, in a rare moment, Ozzel speaks again, unprompted. The man I shot. He is not the one that died on Keseki 10 years ago. The man I shot is... He's different. He's changed. He's curious and active and driven in a way that Xainan Esch is not. In a way that Xainan Esch was not. And the Xainan Esch I knew would not be alive without her.
Her stops Zinnia dead in her tracks. Her?
Ozzel's silence tells you everything you need to know. There is only one her that it could be. You've heard the name once from Ozzel's lips. Doxa Esch. Their daughter.
They nod. They walk off. I don't think there's any words left for the two of them right now.
Zinnia, as you walk off, you rejoin the rest of the Tears, who, as it turns out, while you were talking to Ozzel, and then previously with Strike Team Nova, had come to a consensus about next steps. There is an overall desire to head northward, toward the garden. Even Saral, who is extremely interested in lingering whenever and wherever they can to document whatever they can, thinks that having a home base and, more importantly, access to a cargo transport ship would make the process and mission of archiving that much more efficient, that much more secure, and that much more tenable. So Begoon and Libra, Jack and Dr. Wu, Saral, and even Nose Mama turn their heads inquiring to you to gauge your response to this plan of action.
Sounds good. We'll have a little bit of help too.
And with that, the course is set. Libra pulls out their map, rolls it across the ground of the service tunnel, and begins drawing a path north. Strike Team Nova! You and the Tears of Fayumi travel beneath the Isthmus of Cesare for another day or two, walking northward along this service tunnel until eventually it ends. You surface a rusty ladder to find yourselves in a familiar place, the beginning of the Sky Bridge to the north, surrounded on all sides by broken rocks and fallen pillars. Libra Dunnan, the Wayfinder of the Tears, leads your group onto a craggy cliff that forms the continental shelf of the Okinawa Prefecture. Over the course of the next week, you follow the curve of this shoreline northward, keeping the empty ocean to your left, and what used to be a coastal forest to your right. According to a very enthusiastic Saral, the jungled beaches of Okinawa once sported towering brackish oaks and gnarled mangrove shrubs that drained directly into the Kagayaku Ocean, despite the bitter temperature of the northern surf. The soil here was rich and dark and braced against the waters like a mighty natural shield. Countless different species of fish and birds laid eggs and dodged predators within these intertwined root networks. An early sign of the drought was the erosion of these mangroves. At first, inches of dirt went missing, vanishing into the water like cotton candy. And then feet of earth, then yards, then miles and miles of landslides and erosion and storms until the coastline was battered and gone and barely recognizable. Canopies wilted, roots shriveled. The emerald wall that protected the prefecture became a withered gray tapestry with many missing holes and patches. And it is Libra Dunnan, the Wayfinder of the Tears, who leads your group through it. After all, they are from Okinawa, the very prefecture that you are currently traveling through. And now, your group walks along the cracked lip of the eroded shoreline, a precipitous cliff that tumbles into the cracked basin of the Kagayaku Ocean. What used to be a lush and green canopy is little more than broken tracks of desiccated roots. As you sojourn northward, the days turn into a week. And I would like to know, how do each of you conduct yourselves during this travel? And who do you find yourselves spending the most time with over the course of this week? Let's start with Zinnia.
I think Zinnia finds herself monitoring, almost hovering the spaces that Nova tends to find themselves at. These four are fascinating and familiar in the worst ways possible. And I think that's it for now.
What about you, Xainan?
He can't help it. Oh, he tries to stay away from them. But he could point to Azali's raid any time, day or night, from the dead of sleep to the middle of the day when they're slogging through dirt or darkness. He can't help it. And he stares when he doesn't mean to. Even in the middle of whole other conversations.
Okay, what about you, Seir? You are muted.
Not doing that. Seir finds himself spending the most amount of time with the littlest member of the Tears, Bug. Mostly inadvertently. Mostly by accident and coincidence, or a yank on the many wires on his antlers at an inconvenient time. But he enjoys their company.
Okay. And of course, what about you, Lumièra?
Lumièra heard there was an archive? And I think that immediately piques her interest. She started out the week doing her typical thing, making medical rounds, checking in on people, double checking Jack to make sure that their wound hasn't been infected and is healing nicely. But they made reference to an archive, and she can't help but be piqued, her interest piqued by this. Yeah, so that's where she spends most of, if not all of her free time.
Okay. Let's actually start with you, Seir. So, over the course of this week, you end up spending a good amount of time with Bug, because Bug simply will not leave you alone. In the first few days, well, let's be real, 12 hours actually, they can't control themselves beyond that. They hover around your periphery whenever you're doing stuff, whether you're just walking and you're journeying along what used to be this coastal forest, or if you've taken a break and you're sitting down having rations, you just feel a presence on your periphery and eyes fixed on you, not very subtly. Bug, they're just watching you, standing off and staring.
Need something, kid?
And whenever you would speak up, they would go, "Oh, what are you doing? What's that? What's in your hand? What are you eating? What are you up to?"
Rations? Recuperating.
Mm-hmm.
And Seir, throughout every single time Seir's approached by Bug, he is learning more and more very interesting aspects about them. How quickly they're able to keep up with this group. The keenness of their observation, their drive, their enthusiasm, their willingness to help amidst honestly quite difficult circumstances for a teenager to be in. And
as you pay more and more attention to Bug, you also notice two very interesting things. First of all, that Bug and Nose Mama, they are part of the Tears, but Bug is a teenager and Nose Mama is a huge lizard. And based on peripheral chatter you pick up from the group at large, you gather that they didn't come down to Keseki with a huge lizard and a child on board. Bug is a tag-along. They found each other during their archival mission. The Tears had not been prepared to take care of an adolescent, but there's a general attempt from everyone to, of course, ensure Bug's survival and well-being, but no one has the dedicated time to just sit down with Bug and show them things and be with them. And the other interesting thing is, you notice several times throughout the week, Saral, in particular, coming up to Bug and saying, "Hey, so buddy, do you want to learn how to read and write like we were talking about?" And Bug will just go and run away. And specifically run to you, Seir. And all of this comes to a head one particular evening, when it's not your turn on watch, when you are allowed to lie down and sleep, when your keen senses, you don't miss this at all, pick up on a child's light footsteps creeping by your bedroll, and then kind of noise of patience being dragged along craggy ground as this kid tries to wiggle your weapon out from where it is nestled by your sleeping form. Do you let them?
Yes. And very surreptitiously, Seir will... He has his back. Seir's a side sleeper. And the second hearing that weapon being drawn, out of curiosity, Seir flips to the other side, rests his head against his arm, and watches. I want to see what this child does with my weapon.
And you see Bug very enthusiastically and very seriously practicing what can only be described as an earnest but terrible attempt at sword forms. They're kind of holding it at first like it's a big spoon, the crescent blade, and then they sweep it like it's a flag. They like hop forward and hop back, and you notice them trying to move their body similar to how you were moving back in the shootout, but it's a really poor imitation. They keep losing their balance. They're rather flat-footed, but they look eager and earnest, and they're going, and there, and back off, and I'm gonna sock you in the face, and then my tail's gonna whip you in the mouth, and then my antlers are gonna gore you, and I'm gonna claw you right here. Ugh, take that.
And I think Seir watches for a few moments. And watching them do this for a while, Seir notices how light they are on their feet, how they hold the weapon, this genuine attempt, and also realizes just how unsuited the crescent blade is to their form. But honestly, any weapon will be unsuited to their form when your feet are like that. What?
Huh?
And Seir gets up to sit in a cross-legged position. You're so flat-footed. Balls on your feet.
You were watching? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And they try balancing on the balls of their feet.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, that does
All
feel
right.
better. Wait, show me more! Show me more!
All right, shh. People are sleeping.
Oh, sorry. Show me more!
I'll show you a few drills, and you will go and rest, okay?
Okay, fine.
Okay. Come. And Seir will get up from his cross-legged position, walk over to Bug, and will train them the same way that he was trained. Talking about repetition, about forms and body, and ensuring that when you move a certain way, you have to think about how you're moving. It's not just, there's a point where Bug, as a quick study, picks up very quickly from Seir. And there's a moment where Seir almost pivots to a more advanced bit of teaching about not just thinking about how to do the move right, but how to think. Look, if you're going to... That weapon really isn't suited for you. If you are going to move closer with a weapon that is this short, right? And you are also, when you're looking at your arm, when you are this short, you have to think about how you're going to get out of there. Because the second you get in and swipe at something like patience, you're not going to get out in time. where are you going to reposition? And then he's going to demonstrate. He's like, see, you're this close to me, and then Seir like grabs just above their arm onto their bicep, and now you're stuck here with me.
Okay. Seir, why do you keep asking me all these questions? Can't you just show me how to do cool stuff like you?
and Seir like furrows his brow in frustration. I'm telling you this because it is not enough to just do cool stuff like me. I think it's cool, and it's not enough for you to think that you're doing cool stuff like me. It is more important that you know why you're doing it and how to survive. Seir pauses as he stops. And then he remembers every single time he is asked that question to Artemis. And there is a blooming realization at how difficult of a pupil he must have been. Because he did not ask this once. He asked this multiple times over multiple years in his 25-year-old existence. I want you to know how to use your instinct. So that one day when you have those questions, you can answer them for yourself instead of looking to me for the answer. That's why.
Okay,
That's
fine.
why.
Can we do those drills again?
It's getting late. Bug.
Okay, fine. Tomorrow? First thing?
Crack of dawn. You would have warmed up by then and we will start your drills. Okay?
Yes! Okay, good night! And Bug
Patience.
hands you patience blade first, and then goes,
Thank
oh, right,
you.
whoops. And then, like, tries to turn it to the handle.
Yep. Thank you. We'll work on that. Go on, little cricket.
Okay, good night! And Bug springs away, like a cricket, to Nose Mama's side. That is how your mentorship of Bug begins. And over the course of this first week, you continue to drill both forms and warm-ups, but also those questions, those key fundamentals of awareness, of examination, perception, critical thinking, instinct that had been drilled into you by the patron saint of mortals. And as the days pass and you impart more of this knowledge to Bug, and you see Bug asking the exact same things you asked, but now you're able to finally see those questions in their entirety with the context behind them. The questions of the flashy moves, of the violence done thoughtlessly, of being able to just execute maneuvers without any real purpose behind them. It becomes so clear to you. Everything the patron saint had been trying to teach you this whole time. Meditations on the nature and the purpose of wielding violence. What are the lessons that you hope in this first week to impart onto Bug?
The first lesson that he was taught, but only fully learned recently. Patience. Patience, patience, patience. And he knows how frustrating it is because he's been there. But if Bug is to learn, then Bug needs to learn the first lesson. Patience. The second lesson. The lesson of violence. To wield it, not for the sake of it, but as a tool like anything else. A tool of survival. And the third lesson. To find who they are. Now, while they're young. While they have this community around them. A space, maybe, with me in it. To find out what their role and part in all this needs to be. In a similar way to how Artemis taught Seir. Artemis found Seir's weapon. Artemis molded and helped Seir see the outline of the statue he wanted to be. And that's what he hopes to impart to Bug, and maybe learn what they want to be, so he can set them down that path.
It becomes very apparent that Bug is a quick study. The lessons of patience were rather frustrating for them as they were forced to wait as part of exercises. Wait and wait, but they took to it very quickly after the initial discomfort. Even questions and meditations on violence, the purpose of it, they were able to find an answer quite quickly. Survival, that resonated with them. They want so desperately to contribute to the group here, to be a valuable member of the Tears, to protect them just as they had protected it. But that third lesson, that third question, how to do things Bug's way. What is the mold Bug wants to grow into? It's stumped. It doesn't know how to answer it yet. And speaking of the community that surrounds it, Zinnia, over the course of the week, you notice an interesting but genuine bond and connection spark and form between Seir and Bug. And there's a moment as Seir is teaching Bug one of many lessons, a couple of feet away from the campfire, that Saral plops down next to you, both dejected and also impressed and admiring, looking off at Bug and Seir, and Saral says, "Is it something about me that Bug just doesn't like? Or is it something about Seir that Bug just really likes a lot?"
There's something about Seir. You and Bug are very different in a way that I think it's hard to impart knowledge to.
That's true. I mean, I, for one, love books, and they love eating books.
Exactly.
But you know what? I'm really glad they found someone. Seir, that kid, he really knows how to connect with them. That's a good thing. A green flag.
As long as they're both smart and careful. I haven't necessarily told Seir this, but during that fight, Seir would have been, you know.
What do you mean?
I gestured to Showstopper, still just on my other hip.
Oh.
Kid's
Wow.
good, but not careful.
Right. Zinnia, can I ask why he's not? You know? Why didn't you? You're not usually the type to hesitate in the face of danger, especially when one of us is on the line.
He had tried to disarm me right after disarming one of the other group, and that was enough for me to be more curious and confused than willing to shoot first. And it paid off so far.
I would agree with you. Man, Seir's lucky he ran into you and not Oswald, I guess.
Yeah. But I don't think he needs to know that yet.
Right. Hey, you don't feel bad about that or anything, do you? Because you shouldn't, because, I mean, everything ended up being okay.
Oh, I feel fine.
Do you, Zinnia?
I think there is two versions of Zinnia who are saying very different things. Zinnia of the Syndicate feels painfully and deeply connected to Seir, these lessons are not unfamiliar to Zinnia. Zinnia was not necessarily the physical fighter type, but Zinnia's best friend was. And heard all of the different stories of training and how much it sucked and how long it took and everything there. And I think it's painful to see. I think it brings up very uncomfortable memories. And I think part of them knows the version of them that is on Keseki now. It's beneficial that Seir's not dead, at least for Bug's growth. But it wouldn't have changed that much for Zinnia in this moment. And those are two hard things to make stick together.
Does it bother you, Zinnia? How much it didn't bother you? How close you were to taking his life?
Not while Zinnia's awake.
But there is that nightmare you cannot escape from. Lumièra. Your week goes exactly as you said. For the first few days, of course, you stick to medical rounds, particularly paying attention to Jack, making sure that the injury is healing nicely, that there's no signs of infection and whatnot. And it is through your medical rounds that you get to know each of the tiers a little bit more. And it is exactly through this knowing that you learn more about the specificities of the archive. Specifically, it is Saral and Dr. Yvonne Wu who are in charge of the archive. They are the primary academic and historical agents of this mission. And they have among them several scrolls, databanks, books, and journals of both primary and secondary sources that they have collected over the course of several months on Keseki so far. And if you were to approach them, both Saral and Dr. Wu would be quite open and eager and excited to share their work with you. So, Lumièra, why don't you tell me, what is the first time that you try to kind of sidle up to these archivists and see what's going on with them?
I think Lumièra actually sat. You'd actually be very proud of her. She waited at least 12 hours before she decided to actually step up to it. And that's holding a lot of restraint for her because she's on her 37th read through of Passion of the Godspine, and it's no longer starting to, even the notes are starting to get a bit repetitive. So she's welcoming literally any type of stimuli that is anything but Luna. So I'm sorry, that broke me because it was when Connie gasped and fell forward.
I'm sorry, anything but Luna.
Yeah, so I think it's Dr. Wu that she kind of saddles up to. And is like, do you need any help reorganizing the tombs, coding, archiving?
Oh, that's very kind of you, dear. And this is happening around the campfire one night before everyone starts going to bed. Dr. Wu has several journals out in front of her and seems to be doing, as you had picked up on, some sort of organizing work, while Saral sits close by, furiously scribbling in a journal, as is their nighttime ritual. That would actually be extremely helpful. Saral is typically busy at night, making a record of the day's events, so an extra hand would be extremely appreciated.
point me where?
Right over here. Okay, so I'm torn between organizing by type versus by name. And she starts walking you through the logistics of whatever it is that she's doing. And several minutes into this work, Yvonne Wu looks up at you, and you see a glimmer in those eyes, now lined and wrinkled by age. And she says, "You're quite a natural at this. I wouldn't have thought that a medical doctor, a healer, would also be so interested in questions of history."
Lumièra smiles tightly at that. It doesn't completely reach her eyes as her organizing kind of slows, not to a stop, but it's nowhere near as fast as she was before. Thank you. I spent a lot of time in the archives where I'm from. This place is soothing.
Feeling a little homesick, are we?
If you could call it that, yes.
You know, it's funny. Technically, I am home. I'm on Keseki again, after all. But I still feel homesick. I guess it's because the home I knew is no longer here. And it never will be again. But that's why we do this. That's why memory is so important. It's not just because of the nostalgia. It reminds us of who we are. And where we come from shapes where we go. For better and for worse. But it's always good to be informed, don't you think? Knowledge is a boon.
Yeah. Knowledge is safety. Preparedness. Understanding.
That's right.
I think, to answer your question, you should separate it by type and then by name.
Oh! The best of both worlds. Genius! Thank you. Okay, so you can take that half, and I'll take this half. And the two of you start organizing it again. And over the course of the week, it is Dr. Wu that invites you over to help her and Saral in their work. And both of them are extremely welcoming of you, excited to have a new captive audience member receive all of their theories and gushings and all of the lore and information that they've collected so far. And there is one particular night, as you're kind of sitting around the fire next to Saral and Dr. Wu again, that Dr. Wu is currently poring over a report that Saral is asking her to look over and to edit about the biomes of this coastal forest based on what little desiccated remains of it are available to them. And Dr. Wu is currently going over it with a pen, trying to mark the places that are just speculative versus places that are backed by hard evidence. They're kind of like talking very intensely and intellectually about the differences between opinion and fact. And it is around this time that Libra is just kind of walking by, but slows down briefly and says, pointing at the paper, actually, that's not correct. That kind of jewel bug, mating season was early summer, not late summer. Oh, well, there you go. So that part is speculative. And, oh, actually, Libra, if you wouldn't mind sharing perhaps some of your insights of this area, we would be most obliged. I don't know. You two are the academics and the archivists. I don't know what my insights could. Oh, no. Dr. Wu's absolutely correct. We'd love to hear straight from the horse's mouth. Okay, that aside, there's something to be said about the information we can collect and the information that is passed down by people that actually lifted. Please, Libra, it would mean a lot. Okay, fine. And Libra sits down in this little circle, looking rather awkward and stilted to be surrounded by such academics. What do you want to know? Soral taps a finger on their chin thoughtfully, and Dr. Wu turns to you, Lumièra, with a smile on her face and says, well, what do you think, Lumièra? What should we ask Libra?
Lumièra's eyes go wide. She was skimming through some previous journal, just barely paying attention to the conversation that was happening around her. So when she hears her name, her head kind of pops up. Her hair that's in her face kind of flies out in the side. I don't. I mean, I guess whatever you think is important. Start with the feeling of this place.
The feeling? Okay. Give it a shot, I guess. Honestly, my home village was several dozen miles further inland from here, but I had a cousin who lived out here in the roots, right by the coast. So actually, I spent a lot of summers right on this coast, fishing, crabbing, gambling. I remember, how cold the mud was. You wouldn't think that would stick out to you, but, that was cold. Froze your feet even through your boots, and just made you cold from the inside out. But it was nice. And the sound of the surf coming in, especially during high tide, my cousin, she said it sounded like fairies laughing or whatever. But it was a nice sound, you know? I miss it. Shit, I even miss the tube wasps. They'd sting the shit out of you if you stepped on their nests. And trust me, you were stepping on a lot of nests while you were drunk off grot hooch. And the jewel bugs. Yeah. Mating season, early summer. They'd shimmer and they'd shimmer. And the dust from their wings hung like a wet cloud above the canopy. The whole forest turned bright red crimson for 3 whole days. You know, if you weren't from here, you'd think that there was some sort of sacrificial ritual going on and it was blood mist. But the way that shimmer played over the waves, and the sound of the water and the bugs chittering and buzzing and humming. And Lumièra, as Libra's describing the waves, you can almost hear it. Waves in the distance, pulling at the tides of your memory, something forgotten, entombed, but now slowly but surely being remembered again. And everything about this place, what it used to be, the mangroves, the roots, it resonates with you. It feels so familiar. There were roots, too, mangroves. The smell of it, not cold like it was here, but hot. And there were tides, too. And insects and animals and birds and the salt of it all. You smell it and you hear it. And as Libra speaks, what is the look playing over your face? What is the physical reaction you're having to this?
Reverence. And she's a bit wistful, too. She chews her bottom lip. A new habit, I think, is just started as of recent here. You know, I know right now it doesn't seem like it. But you should consider yourself lucky. And I don't mean lucky for like surviving, because we're all lucky for that. I mean lucky because you can remember what it was like before and hold it. It's not lost to memory or time. She kind of wipes her face. It's there still for you to hold. So, yeah. Hold that. Sometimes memory is all that you have left.
Libra looks struck by that. Not pulled out of their gentle and warm and very rare vulnerable moments of nostalgia, but you're saying something they'd never considered before. And you're saying something that even Saral and Dr. Wu look surprised by. And Libra says, "Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
I'll make sure I hold on to that. You know, honestly, growing up, I took all this for granted. I never thought that I'd lose it. I don't know anyone I knew thought we would lose it. But now that it's gone, all we've got are these memories. I never thought that some people wouldn't even have that."
She smiles tightly, looks back down at the journal she was reading, kind of curls in on herself a bit, doesn't say anything else.
And hey, one last piece of insight from someone who grew up here. You should always borrow money from a southerner, because they're slow in the mud and you can lose them fast.
Heard.
Dr. Wu laughs. Saral writes it down very seriously in their report. And Libra gets up, nods at Saral and Dr. Wu, and their gaze lingers on you briefly, Lumièra. There's intrigue and curiosity and something deeper there. But they nod at you too, and they turn and leave. And as they do, Zinnia, you noticed this moment from your side of the camp. And as Libra walks off, what are the feelings rising within you upon witnessing this exchange?
I think even passing Libra, there's just a small bump of the shoulders at each other. Just the closest to playful they get. Lumièra is the one that Zinnia, I think, is worried about the most. Seir at least showed that he's capable in a fight of disarming people. Xainan is... Well, Xainan is... There's nothing there that is concerned for him. And Yinghe is a mystery in a way that still, I think, belies a sense of belief in them. But Lumièra, I saw how you reacted when bullets were flying. And I worry about that because it reminds me of someone very familiar to me. And I won't say it because I think if I did, too much would come undone. But it is so clearly like looking into a mirror. And Zinnia does not like that one bit.
Xainan, we go to you now. as the days turn to your first week of travel with the tears of Fayumi. You are inexorably drawn to Ozzel. That is where you find yourself. Do you even wait 12 hours like Bug had, like Lumièra had?
The thing is, Xainan Esch, the first time he fell in love with Ozzel's raid, they came to him. The second time, here and now, he doesn't know how to start. He doesn't actually know how to bridge this massive gap between them because he can feel a slammed door that sounds like a shotgun blast between them. And he's afraid to knock. And so his first solution is to let the other parts of himself lead him around. And I think letting Lumièra look over the somewhat mended shotgun blast and chasing down the very mortal needs imparted to him, that does not take long. Lumièra's busy because other people are actually still recovering from injuries. His is just gold now. The other thing that he lets lead him away is this curiosity of Zinnia. He watches them around camp, keeping Ozzel in one eye and Zinnia in the other. He doesn't know what to say to her. What is there to say when he can feel again standing in a fourth grave? His own, theirs. He watches how Zinnia moves among them. And again, that pang of jealousy? No, not just jealousy. It's a desire to belong. He does belong in a way, so he lets his curiosity about the tears dilute the time for about maybe 8 hours. Maybe. Before he makes it all the way back to the thing that he can't stop himself from going towards, because it is like if you thread a rope through a hole, the rope can go all over, but eventually it's gonna go back to the same place it's always been meant to go. Because here, with his boots on the ground of Keseki, he can follow Libra around and listen to stories about Okinai and talking about the way that the roots have decayed in this region. But all he's thinking about is standing in the dirt of the raptor pen, chasing Ozzel around, the two of them laughing, getting ready for a job and getting distracted and then having to get yelled at, and there they are. There they are. And he can't chase them. So he just lingers nearby. And closer and closer and closer.
Ozzel does not acknowledge your lingering. It is as though you do not exist to them. If you are waiting for them to say something to make the first move, you will wait forever. Until time itself has ended. So it becomes very obvious to you very quickly that you must be the one to say something if you wish to have any sort of conversation, any sort of connection with Ozzel's raid. And every time you look at them, you try to see the Ozzel you knew in there. There are hints of it, echoes of it. The fuzz of their now shorn down hair. The bright gold is still entombed somewhere beneath that burnt orange of their iris now. can almost remember the smooth velvet of their voice through the growls and the wordless grunts that they offer to the rest of the tiers. What time of day is it, Xainan, when you finally approach Ozzel with words?
Well, about 30 minutes after 8 hours. So probably in the afternoon.
Okay, so it's while you're walking, while all of the tiers are traveling and moving. Ozzel stays at the front of the pack or at the very end of the pack most days. They don't ever walk in the middle. They're always a little apart from the rest of the tiers. And right now, they are at the back of the group, several yards behind. And you let your steps slow down until you're closer to them. Their eye is fixed dead ahead. They do not even spare a glance, a breath in your direction as you approach.
Xainan waited until he heard literally anything of interest further up, because he began this walk up with Libra at the front and has just slowly drifted his way back until he is standing beside Ozzel. You know, the trees here, they used to apparently be full of all kinds of interesting, probably delicious bugs.
You don't even get a grunt. It's like they didn't hear you.
And Xainan looks at them. And his golden orange eye traces over their scars on their face. And he lets the time, the distance between them, soak in a little bit more. But he can't help it, because he came down here to save this person that he loves so much. You come up this way. Actually, I guess that's starting in the wrong place. Why'd you come back?
It's none of your concern.
You can't be surprised I'm at least a little curious.
You have ears, yet you refuse to listen. We are here for an archival mission.
So this is it now. And that spark, he can't keep it off his tongue.
This is why I am here. This is why the tears are here.
And when did that
If you
start?
have any more pointless questions, direct them to someone else.
I'm just trying to get to know you again. I want to know where you've been. I want to understand. I saw Dom. I came down here because I had to find you. And as he softens, he sees those Mayday missions hanging in the air again. That bright light of hope that he let pull them down here. He thinks about the admission that the Apani Kestrel is crashed and gone. He thinks about all the water that was on there. But he can't stop thinking about the hope that he felt after it felt like everything was lost. After leaving Inferno, that they are here now. And that conviction just won't let go. And so he takes those burning, bright, beautiful cries for help to ask fate for help that he knows his must have been on there somewhere. And he tries to just take a measure of that and pour it into this wall that he is being met with.
It is not a wall, but an endless, infinite well that you pour your hope and your heart down into. For even as you bring up Dom, as you bring up the reason that you are here is for them, all you are met with is, I don't care why you're here. Don't get in my way again.
And he sets his jaw. He won't bite again for now, because Xainan is many things, but an endless font of hope is not one of them. And he pours what he can. And just nods. Yeah, you proved that I should not get in your way. Didn't stop me. But I hear you.
Stay out of it. And Ozzel increases their pace to leave you behind and reach the front of the group.
And he walks in the back, dragging his feet over dust, over desiccated root. And he suddenly finds himself longing for the soft loam of the wild sea to stand among ghosts that didn't make sense then, but they made more sense than this.
Zinnia, with your eyes and ears ever peeled for the members of Strike Team Nova, this is another conversation that you overhear. Just your luck, or perhaps by intention and design, that you were close enough to the back of the group this afternoon, 8 hours and 30 minutes after Strike Team Nova joined the tiers, to overhear everything. And as Ozzel's raid strides off and approaches Libra toward the front of the group, what's going through your mind?
I think I'm near Jack. And I think there is this shared look, because we both were unlucky enough to hear that conversation. And I think there is this look of, I am so sorry you had to hear that to Jack. Because we know how far gone Ozzel is in many ways, and that has never once stopped them. But it only highlights it in a much clearer way that even to somebody who clearly has history with Ozzel, can't be reached. And I think I put that hand on Jack's shoulder, like I've done so many times in the past. And then I look to Xainan, see how, Kai, would you call it pathetic?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
How pathetic he looks standing there, and my eyes end up going to the rest of Nova because I worry that they have been failed on Kaseki so far.
Seir. Toward the end of your first week.
Me?
Yes, you.
Me?
Smile and wave through it, boy. Smile and wave. Seir. Toward the end of your first week with the tears, your first week of mentoring Bug, showing them how to fight, how to, more importantly, think about how to fight. There is finally an evening where Bug has gone off to practice patience, namely breathing, as per your instruction, and you find yourself in a rare moment of being alone. The campfire is flickering and warm several feet away. The campsite is buzzing. You can see Lumièra huddled next to the archivists, Xainan looking at Ozzel, whose face is cast in shadow as they hunch over a rock. And you also notice Yinghe, sitting by themselves on what used to be a log, but is now little more than a desiccated lump of broken wood. Watching everything, also on the periphery of camp. What are you doing as you take everything in, and as your eyes fall on Yinghe?
I'm drawing again. I found some old charcoal on our journeys here, and I'm drawing again. This journal that I feel like I haven't opened in a lifetime. The last work I did here was when we were in Inferno. It feels like forever ago. And I'm drawing the face of the person I had killed. Their features burned into my mind. And now I'm in a place where I can draw them onto this paper. Their visage, their hair, their eyes, everything. It is not a horrific moment or capturing of their death, but it is many iterations of how Seir would imagine their life might have been like. Different expressions painted on that tempestuous face. Maybe calm face, maybe soft. And as they're finally processing in the way that they used to, Seir's eyes fall on Yinghe. On this gorge that he had plunged between them with his own hands. And he sets the journal down, gets up, and walks to them.
Yinghe looks up as you approach.
Hey.
They give you a small smile. It doesn't quite reach their eyes, but it's not false either. And they pat the empty space on this log next to them.
Seir sits on the empty space of this so-called log with them.
Hi.
How are you feeling with everything? Loaded question, I know.
I feel pretty bad, I think. But
Yeah.
getting better. Now that we're with the tears, it's nice to be with other people. And it's nice to have direction. I really feel
Yeah.
like they actually know what they're doing.
Yeah. I
I
know.
don't think I realized how little we knew what we were doing until we met people who did.
Feels like we've been bumbling in darkness and just... Yeah.
Darkness I like. Darkness I know. It's familiar to me. No, this is... I've never been to this place before. And I'm not just talking about Kaseki.
Yinghe,
Yeah?
I'm sorry. I really, really hurt you this whole time. I've done a great disservice to you, and I took you for granted.
Yinghe looks at you for the first time since you sat down. Silver eyes, blinking. And that smile returns to their face. Small, but real. And they place their cold fingers over the back of your hand. Thanks, Seir. We haven't really been,
Partners?
together. Not since leaving Inferno.
You're right. I agree.
But that's not what hurts the most. We haven't even really been friends.
Friends.
A slow nod.
I've not been a good partner, friend, or companion. It's not what I want for us. I've done horrible things. And I have questions and things I must do. I must fix this. Me. And he gestures to himself with the other hand that's not holding Yinghe's and stroking their cold fingers with the back with his thumb. I got to fix this.
There's nothing to fix, Seir. But you do have to grow into it, I think.
Yeah.
And you're right. You haven't been a very good partner or friend to me. And I want to talk about that. But everything going on right now is just so... It's so much.
I know.
And I'm learning things about myself here. Things about myself that I don't like. When you killed them,
Yes.
I wanted to run away. I wanted to go home. I would have if I could have. And I don't know if I would have come back. And I don't like that about myself. because I was scared. But I would have left you. I would have abandoned all of you. And there are more things too. Like how I feel with all of you. And I need to grow into it too. I need to figure it out too.
I know.
And I want to talk about how much it hurts. But only when we're both ready. When we both can.
Yeah. And Seir just tightens their hand around Yinghe. I love you so much, Yinghe. That is
Squeeze
not
your hand back.
that is not in question, ever. You are one of the closest people to me. And I want to mend the scourge. I want us to come back to this when we are ready. And Seir's eyes flit toward the fire. Those blue orbs now cast an orange light, and we see the antlers glow a very faint blue and blink. As Seir says, when unexpected blossoms bloom amidst hailing snow, maybe when the sun meets the dark of the new moon, our hearts will meet as the earth rises to meet us. And Seir finally looks directly at Yinghe's eyes, those same moonlit eyes he fell in love with in Zheguang. And we will bathe in moonlight together.
And Yinghe says in response, in the same cadence as I love you, is that an omen?
I hope so.
And that time, the smile reaches their eyes. And they lean their head against your shoulder and watch the flames.
I don't say it enough, but I am happy and grateful that you are here.
Me too. And we're gonna go to break there. Thank you all so much, everyone, for tuning in so far to this episode of Arc 4 of the Chaos Protocol. We will be back in about 10 minutes with more of whatever the hell that was. Take a break, get some water, get some grub, take a stretch, enjoy Spawny, sponsor Connie, and we'll be back in just about 10 minutes. Bisho, bisho.
Howdy, Transplay nerds! It is, once again, Sponsor Connie time. Arc 4 is proudly sponsored by Hero Forge, a website where you can design and print your very own custom miniatures. But you already knew that, didn't you? Because the spectacular Hero Forge has sponsored us every single arc so far. We've stuck together through all sorts of exciting updates, like Hero Forge Pro, statuettes, color-printed plastic, premium plastic, but now, it's time. It's time for one of the most exciting Hero Forge updates ever. Custom dice. Hero Forge is now offering 3D printed custom dice, where you can put literally anything into the clear material of the die. Each die is printed in the same layers as the item or character bust inside of it, resulting in a solid, perfectly weighted chunk of math rock. You decide the size, color, and shape of your die, the size and color of the numbers on top, and, of course, what the die contains.
Put a frog in it.
Don't die-lay! Visit bit.ly/transforge to design your very own custom miniature or custom dice today. Hello, Transplay nerds! It's your favorite part of every Chaos Protocol stream. Sponsor Connie time. For Arc 4, we are thrilled to partner with the Working Families Party, a progressive third party in the United States building a multiracial coalition of working class people to make our communities a better place to live for everyone. The Working Families Party is fighting for universal healthcare, taxing the rich, and higher wages. If you're in the US and you want to make a difference in your community, I highly recommend checking out the Working Families Party and getting involved with your local chapter. In fact, let's take an action together right now to sign a petition by the Working Families Party to break up big media companies. This petition means a lot to us as indie actual play performers telling authentic stories, fighting censorship, and resisting authoritarianism. Go to bit.ly/WFPtrans and add your name to the list. By signing this petition, you will join the Working Families Party's mailing list and receive opportunities to help them organize, educate, and fundraise. Let's build a better future together.